The first National Trans Visibility March took place on September 28, 2019 in Washington, D.C. With over 5,300 attendees, this historic event brought together both transgender individuals and allies from all over the United States.
We are tired of fighting for our country on foreign soil and then being told that we are no longer fit to serve. We are tired of our murders going without any justice and our murderers out there free. We want to be free, and that's why we are here.
I want you to repeat after me. I am here. I am here. Yes, ma'am.
We need to take back our narrative. We are not victims. We are not statistics. We are not tragedies. We are waiting to thrive, and this is our best year yet, because we aren't here simply to be visible. We are here to be victorious. So when we move forward today, let us press forward with purpose, let us press forward with passion, and let us know that the fight has just begun.
Hello there. Hello, everyone. My name is Dee Dee Waters. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Thank you for joining us on tonight. I know that we've had a couple of discussions, and it's so good to see you all again. I'm so glad to be here. On the south side of this country, we generally say things like we're going to sweep around our porch to make sure that we handle things, clean things up. So I want to do my due diligence first and foremost and give thanks, right? Give thanks to the National Trans Visibility March for being able to make this space for me. Also to the Trevor Project for sponsoring this discussion. So tonight's discussion is awareness and accessible resources. Yep. So as you all see on the screen, that is our special shout out to the Trevor Project. Really appreciate it. Thank you so very much for making this possible. And on today, as we talk about awareness, one, and then accessible resources, two, I want to talk about this from different perspectives, right? So when we talk about awareness, what does that look like? I'm expecting a guest on today, my brother Tyree Williams. Hopefully he's able to make it and join us. If he is, then we will bring him in. If he isn't, then that's fine too. We will also be possibly joined by my brother Coat, Dr. Coat Sanama, like you say Panama, but you put Saint, so it's Sanama. And then also we have the amazing Marissa Miller, who I know is with us presently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up Marissa, and as my other guests attend, they will let me know and they will be able to join as well. Hey Marissa, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
It is good to see you again. I am well.
It's good to be seen and not viewed, so I guess that's a good thing.
Hey, how's everything going with you?
Things are good. Kind of getting my legs back under my feet, and we've just had our open house, so we are excited and resting and getting prepared. And I probably should have put my teeth in my mouth for this particular segment, but we're good. We're grateful. We're good, and glad to be here.
Hello, everyone. I believe that I'm possibly having some technical difficulties. I don't know what happened. My screen just went black, and that was that. So yeah, so you were saying that you're trying to get your legs back underneath you because you just had the grand opening. So you had the grand opening for, we got to be specific.
So I was able to move back to Indianapolis, Indiana last year, and we launched Trans Solutions Research and Resource Center. We were already a 501. No, we were already a LLC. And during the pandemic, we saw the necessity for us to be a 501c3. You know, there were so many people that did not have resources. A lot of trans and non-binary people did not get stimulus checks. So during the pandemic, we, found a way to become competitive to be able to assist those who didn't have it. So yeah, we had the grand opening for our 501c3 on Friday, and so we're excited.
And that's actually really amazing, because when we think about awareness, just the mere fact of what you just talked about, now we are aware of it, right? And one of the things that the main reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you is because while I was at your beautiful event, your beautiful grand opening, as well as the award ceremony, it was really, really good to just hear from you, one, and to see you living in your truth authentically, if that makes any sense, right? And for many of us that have a past, it's really exciting to be able to see someone who has come from somewhere similar, if that makes sense. It's not the same, it's not the exact same, but from somewhere similar. And I wanted to make sure that we had this conversation, and I'm so glad that you were available at last minute. So I just want to put that out there. So thank you. But when we talk about accessible resources, one of the things that you had said, I was literally sitting there, and as I sit in the museum that you all had your award ceremony in, I literally sit there and said to myself, wow, this is a beautiful museum. It's really nice. Everything looks really, really cool. And as I thought about resources, I started saying to myself, I'm like, wait, the museum? And so I heard you. I literally sit right in the audience, and you ministered to me in a way that it was filling. It was very filling. And the reason why I was filling is because I've asked myself questions like, why would I want a relationship with these people? You know what I'm saying? Why do I build a relationship with these people? So all of that to say, you made the comment of not all of the people that received awards were trans folks. Many of them were cis people that were involved in certain organizations. And all of that is important, because when we talk about awareness and when we talk about accessible resources, we have to talk about what we can touch, what we can grab, what we can get, what's receivable, right? What's accessible. And to me, that's exactly what that screamed. It screamed accessibility, right? It screamed resources. Like I never would have thought to have a relationship with the museum. So I kind of want to know, what is it like whenever you decided to create this resource and research center and be able to find resources? What is it that drives you to find these resources that are so like different, right? Like a museum.
Well, so first of all, I want to say thank you for attending, and thank you for your view on what took place. Listen, like I shared from the stage, when I was growing up and when I first started and when I got out of prison and when I first tested positive for HIV and first had the opportunity to work in the field, I was an outreach worker, and I hadn't even really finished, being used by the streets or even using the streets, on dope, lost. It was an organization called Brothers United that reached out to me, and I was getting out of treatment and I didn't have anywhere to go. And there was a gentleman named Byron Reynolds who I celebrated on that evening, who allowed me to live with him. He was the first cis man that had touched my life. And when I transitioned awfully late. Number one, I didn't transition until I was 37 and I'm 51. And when I transitioned, I didn't know nothing about trans women. I thought I was the only one, really. I knew that there were trans women and trans people other places, but I had no contact with them. And so when I began to think about celebrating and telling the story of Trans Solutions, I had to celebrate cis people. I had to celebrate white people, because those are the people that gave me the opportunity. Those are the people who said, listen, you're not doing dope no more. Those are the people that said, we're going to pick you up from prison. We're going to find some place for you to live. And so I had to celebrate those that I knew. And the one Black trans woman that I did celebrate, and I didn't show her picture because we under-ordered trophies, one of those things that happen when you're running an event, was Valerie Spencer. Valerie Spencer was one of the first Black trans women, and she is one of our honorees, and we will be sending her award. Valerie was the first Black trans woman that I met, even, being honest, people said never tell this story, but I'm very transparent. Even when, 3 years ago, when we started this march, I didn't know anything about Marsha and Sylvia. I didn't know anything about Miss Majors. I didn't know Sharon Grayson. I didn't know Monica Roberts. I didn't know you. I didn't know any really Black trans women because I lived in a bubble. Number one, I came from Indiana and I never saw people, demonstrating that. And then I moved to Chicago and got a CDC grant and had the opportunity to see more people and meet more people. But when we started putting the march together, I didn't know any of these people. And that's why it's so important now that, each opportunity that I'm able to, that I try to reach back to the historical content of who I am and why I had the opportunity. It was a Lois Bates who provided an opportunity to Monica Roberts, my good girlfriend who I didn't even know I grew up with, who's doing Marsha's play, Diamond Collier. In Texas, it was examples before me. I just did not have access to them. And so I had to celebrate those, and resources are resources. Listen, I am still an activist. I am still an advocate, but number one, I am a businesswoman. And so what I realize is that our relationships are not going to be transformational. There are going to be certain relationships that are transactional, that go from transactional to transformational. The museum contacted me. I didn't contact them. They said, hey, we see you doing something on the corner. What is it you're doing there? When will your agency open? How can we partner? They first gave me tickets to the opening of their show to show gratitude and to invite people in. And so when I said that I wanted to kind of hold my event there, and first they brought that to my attention. They said, have you found a place to hold your open house? And when I said, we can hold it there, it was usually a very, very high price to entertain there for the evening. But for a Black trans woman who used to smoke dope and who falls short in all areas, I think one thing that we've got to do in doing restorative work among trans people, we got to stop pulling on each other for resources. Stop asking me for shit. I don't have nothing. I'm just gathering the garner of things to move. We got to stop pulling on each other and expecting each other we got resources, but the resources are outside of our community. We have to learn to go outside of our community, and then we won't be bitter. As long as we stay inside of us fighting for the same grants, fighting for the same resources, then we make determinations who needs this and who needs that. And that's when we get into those resentments and those bitterness. So I learned a white lady named Kathy Nagler taught me the 5 touches of raising money, and it has said nothing about staying inside of my community. In fact, it taught me how to go outside of my community.
Right. And that's important, especially whenever you're looking to pour back into your community, right? So it's hard whenever you pour from the cup to another cup, but there's nothing to refill you, especially whenever you can't turn to community to do so. And especially from like a resource perspective. So I totally get where it is that you're coming from. I think that it touched me because I remember at one point in time when I started making relationships with the libraries, and I didn't know what that was about. I used to do toys for kids for Christmas in the hood. And so I would just go around and start meeting people at the library and get myself out there. And it's so funny because after a while, I got connected to the people in Harris Health, which is the county hospital. And then I was able to change it to where people were able to use their preferred names, get them on their prescriptions, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's little itty bitty relationships that start from really nothing. And it's so funny that I'm even talking about that, because I even got to a place to where I started building relationships whenever I would go to like open mic nights and perform. I would build relationships with the club owners, not so that I could rent the club, but so that I can have some protection, some safety. You know what I'm saying? Like a sense of safety. And I'm just as we're talking about that, it makes me think that I, Dee Waters, am a member of community. I am a part of community, right? And so whenever I went out and I got that resource, whenever I had an event, they sponsored my liquor. You get what I'm saying? But it wasn't just for the liquor. It was also the principle. By them having a relationship with me, they can say they know a trans person, right? Specifically a Black trans woman. And then from there, they're now doing things. And when other trans people come in, they work, the whole conversations now. So when we see somebody come in and they don't look like they ID, but they got hair now, what do? You know, we had those conversations. And so it's just beautiful to even see that outside of community, that building relationships is really important when we want to talk about accessible resources. So I want to ask you one last question, because I know that you are a busy woman, honey, and I want to let you get your rest so I can see you soon. When it comes down to a person who is watching this right now. Also, I want to give a shout out to whoever that is out in San Juan, honey. I want to come and visit. Thank you for watching. We're so happy to have you all from all over. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're watching, if you have questions, comments, please put them in the comment section, as well as share this video. Now, the question that I want to ask you is that if there's some trans or non-binary person that is watching this right now, and they would like to be able to take that first step in finding a resource. I don't need you to give them the list of how to do it. I think that my question is, how do they take that, whatever it is that you're going to give them, to go and get that resource? So for example, the library, whenever I wanted to connect with the library, what should I have done? Should I just went in there and say, hey, I want to connect with somebody? Or should I went in there and said, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, and I want to connect? What would be your response?
Well, I think research is extremely important, knowing where you're going for your resources and determining what resources that you're looking for, especially if you're looking for a funding stream. If we're talking about resources, there are multiple forms of resources. There's your donor list, there's your corporate list, there's your public health list. And so make a list of everybody that you know first, before you go hollering at people. Make a list of everybody you know and put them in categories. There's a list that's just going to give you $1. There's a list that's just going to give you $5. There's a list that's going to give you 25 letters. Incorporate an ask letter. If you need a template for an ask letter, incorporate an ask letter and be sure to be clear in what you're asking for and what the outcome. And also, when asking for resources and when receiving resources, what can you give the person that you are receiving the resources for? Because this is transactional that turns into transformational, but this is a transactional move. And so I say, do your research. I say, arrange your list. And then I say, go ask for it. The first touch is knowing who you're going to touch. The second touch is making contact with them. The third touch is making your ask. The fourth touch is following up. And the fifth touch is getting your money. And so as long as we remember the 5 touches of raising money, I think that resources become available. Please don't pull on the same people. Go somewhere else. Don't pull on the same people for resources. Please go somewhere else. And if you don't know where to go, that's when resources become available. If you need a national resource list, please go to our website. Contact us at www.transsolutioncenter.org. Again, that's www.transsolutioncenter.org. And we will see you in multiple cities in October, the week of October 4th, all the way running to October 10th for the National Trans Visibility March. If by chance you'd like to give, please go to the website www.nationaltransmarch, I think it is, .com. I've not been on there in some time, but they let me hang around every now and then. So Dee Dee, thank you for allowing me to come.
Girl, you have nothing to worry about. There's someone special that's gonna pop that website right there. Look at that.
There it is, nationaltransmarch.com. I was correct.
Thank you. So, and we also need to make sure that we pay homage to the people that are working on the back end. So it's very, very appreciated. Thank you all so much. The people that aren't in the forefront do a lot of work. People like me and Marissa, we do a lot of work too, but we also get to sit down and just do things and talk. So and share and pour into people. So Marissa, I really appreciate that. I think that those five touches are extremely important. And I think that even for me, with everything that you just said today, I gained something. And one of the things that I gained was in a response is what's important. Right? Like a response is what's important. So if you don't get a response because you didn't send anything, you don't know anything, right? The goal is yes, but the reality is a no. And when we get a no, sometimes that just means not at this moment. You get what I'm saying? So it's okay to go to somebody else.
It's delayed, not denied.
Thank you. There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you so very much, Marissa. I really appreciate you for being here. Thank you so very much for even providing your website, providing a resource that's accessible for people to go and see. So I totally suggest that everyone that is watching this, if you're looking to start with resources, if you're looking for resources, if you just want to learn how to do something different or a little bit better, y'all should check out Marissa, and y'all should go back and watch this video again and take some notes, because baby, she gave y'all something that was really, really good. Thank you, Marissa. You have a great day, and thank you for your time and all that you do.
Thank you. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Love you too. Thank you. So up next, I believe that my brother, Dr. Coate, is available. I believe that he has joined us. That's my brother. And of course, he's being responsible. He's driving.
I'm gonna pull over in a bit, but I got two hands on the wheel. We're all right.
Look, I already know you look, you allowed me to be in the car with you. I remember when we got it. I love you, brother. Thank you so very much for joining us. So, Coate, if you don't mind introducing yourself and letting people know who you are. That's okay. All right. We all know.
I'm Dr. Coate. I'm a trans guy person, he and they pronouns. Transitioned about 14 years ago and decided that I wanted to figure out how to take good care of our community because I had some special experiences like many of us have in the healthcare and mental health care industries. So I have a PhD in psychology. I'm a clinical psychologist and I did not want to stop school then. And so I went to medical school. So I have an MD and I'm currently completing my family medicine residency up here at Mayo Clinic in Minnesota.
And y'all, whenever he says family medicine, it means for me. No, I'm just playing. No, Coate, this is absolutely amazing. So Coate is my brother. That is my brother. Coate, ever since day one, has always been the same and has not changed. And it's ever so great. Anyway, before I start crying, let's get focused. So I wanted Dr. Coate to come on, and he doesn't want me to call him Dr. Coate sometimes. So if y'all see him frown up, that's because he hears me calling him Dr. Coate, but that's what he's going to get on today. And also, many of you all are welcome to call him Coate if you have trans experience. Now, so I want to dive straight in. So, Coate, as a doctor, there are many things that I wanted to talk with you about on today. And I know that there's 3 that I really wanted to hit so that way I can let you get back to your day. I'm sure that you had an amazing time and a long day today at the hospital. So I definitely want to get you in and out. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit. Now, so I'm going to start with myself. So as a trans woman, one of the things that I was always concerned about was whenever we would talk about things like tucking. And so when we talk about tucking, I've always had these concerns because I've tucked differently compared to many of my, friends, right? And so, but I came up in a different time, if that makes sense. And I was in a practice of survival, right? And so I use what was called a jailhouse tuck, which is extremely tight, extremely painful. It bruises you all on the side. Oh, we haven't even talked about this. This is great.
Oh, this is good. I'm getting learning about. I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, so that's called okay, so let me say it this way. In Houston, when I was growing up, that's what it was told to us that it was called a jailhouse tuck. And I'm not going to go super into details about it, but it is something that, it becomes more comfortable, I guess, as you have it. But it's just like with the pain, as you go through it for so long, you become more used to it, correct. And so I think that my question is because I even have like bruises on my hips from the string being so tight, right? I want to know, what would you say? Because when we talk about awareness, this is one of those things that we don't even know. See, so the purpose of this is to talk about violence, right? And when we talk about safety, looking at it from the perspective outside of being murdered, outside of being jumped on by a mob of people or by someone, right? But sometimes there's violence that takes place because we unknowingly are doing this harm to some of our bodies at times. So I think that I kind of want to talk about that from that perspective. So when it comes down to tucking, is it safe? Is there a safer way? I don't know what I want to ask, but I'm sure that you'll give me an answer.
Absolutely. So before I get into that, tell me, you said there's a string. I need exact description of what we're talking about.
Okay,
so I can give exact answer.
Right. So it's like a shoestring. The shoestring will go around your waist. In between it would be a piece of fabric that the shoestring would go in between, and that fabric would be what would hold you up. You would push your testicles up and then pull back, and it would be just like that, and it'll be tight, and very much in place. And because of the fabric, it'll be very flat, and the fabric will pinch you as it closes up. Yeah.
So
baby, beauty is pain.
You don't need a doctor to tell you that probably ain't good for you. But let's talk about some specific things. So when we're talking about testicles, or whatever you ladies want to call them, whatever parts. I'm just going to say testicle just so for the purpose of understanding.
Okay.
So the testicles have a whole bunch of veins and arteries going down to them for blood supply. And there's a certain temperature that has to be there for them to function in terms of sperm production. Some of us don't give a damn about sperm production. Some of us do. And so the other piece is it's very easy to kind of turn the testicle in a way that can cut off blood supply and all of these kind of web of veins and arteries that are going down there. That can hurt and be a medical emergency and be a whole thing. So when you're tucking, you have to be very careful not to twist anything as you're moving things up there. So as you're moving things up there, it's whether we're tucking testicles, whether we're binding breasts, we are squishing things, right? We are decreasing circulation. And so we are decreasing how the blood nicely gets down to where it's supposed to go. Blood brings nutrients to our body. Blood brings oxygen to our body. And so we are decreasing nutrients as well as oxygen. The other thing we're doing is we're changing the temperature. We're making them warmer when we bring them inside the body. And so if, again, sperm production is something important to you, it has to occur at a certain temperature. So when you're bringing it on up there, those sperm ain't going to work if you want them to work. So circulation issues as well as fertility issues, again, if that's something important to you, when we're bringing a testicle up inside the body and keeping it up there as well. The other thing is if something hurts, if something is painful, your body's talking to you. You know, and sometimes we don't like to listen to it. We get so used to pain and ignoring pain and putting it on the side. Hey, Kitty, you know, we get so used to ignoring our pain. So what I say with anything that's restrictive, whether it's tucking, whether it's binding, whatever it is, the minimum amount of time that you can do it, the better. I get that we need to do it. You know, I get it for safety, for gender embodiment, for feeling good in our own skin. Got it. Awesome. Great. But the minimum amount of time that you can do it, the better.
Are there any suggestions outside of the minimum amount of time? Because so for me, I'm going to speak from that from a perspective of like a person who can't do that, a person that's like possibly in, you know, sex work, that's out and about, some of the entertainers, you know, some of the trans entertainers that do drag, people that go to work, you know, like people that go and work, from tucking to binding. Like, are there any suggestions that are safer? Or just that you would suggest, maybe?
There's a really, really good resource on Callen Lord in New York, Callen, and like LORD or E. And I will message it to you so you can get it available for folks. They have a safer tucking practices, like whole sheet, as well as safer binding practices. So I will send that your way.
That sounds really, really cool. Please do. I'm really, really intrigued to find out about that. And just to get more information, I think that it's extremely important because far too often we are causing harm to our bodies and it's unknowingly, right? And even in this, like this is also, for me, is also kind of like a reproductive conversation too. Because whenever we go into doing this, many of us are not aware of what we are doing when it comes down to that part, right? And so it's like nowadays, I've been talking to a lot of folks about like, what does reproductive justice look like to them? And as they go into their transition from a medical perspective, what does that look like for them? Because at the end of the day, you know, things happen with our bodies and things change. And sometimes we don't even know that that's what's going on. And it's really good to hear this from you because just like you said, I knew that it hurt, if that makes any sense. But I still had to do what it was that I needed to do. One, specifically for my safety, you know, but I also totally get where people are coming from. Oh, look at, baby, we got some good people in the back.
Y'all working hard. Y'all working hard.
Child, they do some amazing work for us.
Hugs and kisses if consensual.
I know. Thank you. So, so with that in mind, the website that's before you all right now is the website that Dr. Coate was just talking about. That's the one that he was saying that they have different and more, I'm not going to say better. I'll just say healthier, or what would you say?
Safer. Google safer tucking practices, safer binding practices, and if it's on that page, it's good.
Oh, right. Now, another thing, I've been told by a few people that this is what I've been hearing. So
Oh,
I've been told by,
sister, one thing I forgot that
mhm,
we have to
please.
talk about. Um, Skin infections.
Oh, yes,
So
please.
and this is for both binding and tucking. These are our most restrictive practices, regardless of bodies, right? When you are putting the testicles on up there, right, you're getting skin that's touching skin that it usually doesn't. And when you live in Texas, when it's hot and when you're sweating and you got skin on skin in a dark, warm place, fungus loves to grow in there. And so if your skin either it gets kind of more red or inflamed and it's itchy, a lot of times you need to put an antifungal cream on that. Same thing they use for athlete's foot, like Lamisil, those sorts of things you can get over the counter. And that's really common for the kind of testicular issues and the scrotal area, but also for the underboob, if you will. And so if y'all are getting this red stuff and you got like a rash or whatever, that's usually fungal. So it doesn't hurt to go ahead and try to put some of that cream on there to get rid of it and try to keep it aired out as much as you can while you're curing your infection.
Ah, thank you for that. That's really important. I appreciate that. I hadn't dealt with that, but that's really, really interesting. I could totally see how it happens. I could totally see how that could happen. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. Now, I wanted to kind of go into this next part for myself. Now, I've had friends and people that I've helped and worked with that have come to me and said, oh, well, I don't want to get vaccinated for COVID because it's going to interfere with my hormones. I just wanted to kind of hear from you as a doctor of trans experience. What are your suggestions? Of course, disclaimer, this is not me trying to make people go out and get vaccinated. This is not a go get vaccinated campaign. This is so that you'll have the information and you'll be able to know. So I think that that's what the goal is within this. And Colt, as a doctor, I'm not asking him to go into all of that. I'm just asking that he give us what he feels specifically when it comes down to being a trans person and getting vaccinated. Are these things true? Or has there been research done on it yet?
I only heard about 10% of what you just said. It was all breaking up.
Oh, wow. Well, sorry. So pretty much the question is around trans people. I've heard from other trans folks that because of them being on their hormones, that they shouldn't get vaccinated for COVID because it will interfere with their hormones. I think Dr. Coate is loading, or am I loading? All right, so as Coate gets things back together, if anyone happens to have any questions, please put that in the comments section. All right, there you go. All right, brother, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, no, it's okay. They understand. My phone messed up earlier too, so it's okay. It's okay. But my question, as it pertains to the COVID vaccine, is there any
COVID
study?
vaccine.
Yes. Is there any study, any research? Because I'm hearing from trans folks that because of them being on hormones, that's going to interfere with their hormones, is what some of them have been told. And I'm just trying to get some clarity on that. Is that possible? Is there research that says that? Like, does any of this make sense? And what are your views on getting vaccinated?
I have to laugh because I feel like they blame everything on our hormones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, remember when like people still ask like, are my HIV medicines gonna work? Like
Right.
with my hormones? Yes, they are. People got hormones no matter cis or trans, and it's working. Like people got hormones. So I think the main misconception is that people who are on estrogen, right, are at a higher risk to have blood clots because cis women who are endosex, meaning not intersex, who have higher levels of estrogen, have a higher risk of blood clot. That is a normal kind of quote unquote endosex female type of a risk factor. So if you're taking way too much of your hormones, yeah, that's a problem, not just for a COVID vaccine, but for any possible thing that can cause inflammation.
Right.
And so there should not be any additional risk. I don't have any studies on that. I think people are just very worried about our hormones in general. But if you're seeing somebody who knows what they're doing, who's giving you the appropriate amount, you're taking it as prescribed, you're getting lab work at least every 6 months to a year, shouldn't be any issues. I'll tell you what I know about the vaccine. The vaccine is not perfect, just like we don't have any perfect vaccines for anything. But it saves lives. It saves you from going to the hospital. It saves you from being up in the ICU, getting on a ventilator and dying. So for example, I was working in the ICU about 2 months ago when COVID was coming back again. And every one of my patients, none of them had been vaccinated, and they were all on ventilators. So people keep saying, well, I heard like bad things happen and somebody had a side effect to the vaccine. I've seen none of these vaccine side effects in the ICU. I've seen COVID in the ICU. The biggest side effect I saw from a patient, she got a rash. It went away in 2 weeks, and she got another vaccine, and she did not get another rash. So I think it's important to realize that, yes, side effects do happen, but being trans, being on hormones, there's no research to suggest that we're at higher risk for problems with the vaccine. So I recommend everybody who has not got it yet, get it, especially if you are smoking anything. So if your lungs are already kind of higher risk, get vaccinated if you haven't already. And then if you're immunosuppressed, make sure you get your booster as soon as you can and finish the rest of your series. And then also, if you're just, kind of on the fence about something, please message me. And you can do it through the genderdoctor.com, which is thegenderdoctor.com. You can do my contact page if you have any questions about the vaccine. And I promise that I will answer them without being judgmental and without making you feel like crap, without making you feel ashamed for the questions that you have, because we all deserve accurate information.
So again, as you all see on the screen, it's thegenderdoctor.com. I mean, these people are, just amazing. I just am surrounded by awesomeness. This is amazing. So, and I think that that's really, really cool. So as Dr. Cole was saying, if you all happen to have any questions about the vaccination and getting vaccinated, you can definitely reach out. All you have to do is go to the website that has been provided on the screen and go to the contact section and go ahead and send that information over. And again, trust me, Dr. Cole is an amazing guy, and he totally will not be judgmental in your questions. He will actually welcome them, which is the reason why he just invited everyone to do so. So I definitely encourage you all to do that, because again, when we talk about safety and when we talk about violence, sometimes we're doing things to ourselves and we are unaware of it. And here's a doctor right here who's saying, hey, I'm here, I'm trans, I'm available. Ask me if it's needed. So I really appreciate that. Now, lastly, Cole, I wanted to just see if there was anything that you wanted to share with everyone, because I do have one other question. For folks that are non-binary, are there any things that you would like to suggest to them as far as it pertains to from a health perspective? I do know that we talked about binding. I do know that we talked about tucking, and those are both things that people that are non-binary also participate in from time to time. Is there anything that you may want to leave anyone with or anything like that? And if not, that's okay too.
Sure. Are you able to hear me okay?
Talk about, go ahead before the signal go out.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to get to a different space. So what I would say is that the way I think about healthcare and gender and bodies is our bodies and our health don't give a damn what our identity is, if that makes sense. We just got a body. And so I try to think about gender care kind of regardless of if you're binary, non-binary, two-spirit, changing, all of those things are important and good, and we need to be on our identity journey. But if I'm going to give you hormones, I don't need to have you prove your identity. I just need to know what your goals are. And so the way I practice medicine with our community is not based on binary, non-binary. It's based on each individual person. Do you want boobs? Do you want bigger boobs? Do you want, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of, well, I want to be feminine. Well, what does femininity mean to you? Give me your goals, because your ideas of femininity might be different than mine. And this is not about me. This is about you.
Right.
So I don't work within a binary, non-binary, which is a binary system. When I'm working from a health perspective, I just need to know, do you have a uterus? Okay. What do I need to do to keep it healthy? Do you have this? What do I need to do to keep it healthy? So whether you're two-spirit, whether you're a binary trans woman, like, those things are good and important, but health-wise, I just need to know what organs are present, what kind of hormone complements you have going on, what medical conditions you have, what medicines you're on. Those are the most important things. And so I think the other question comes up about, well, people will often talk about non-binary people as if they're the only ones that have goals that are different than just being a complete man or complete woman, whatever that even means. But again, everybody's goals are different. Even if you're a binary trans man, that doesn't mean you want to have a penis. You know, some do,
True.
some don't. And so for me, I don't work healthcare based on identity. I work on it based on what you want for your body, what you need for your body, and you are the expert in your body. So you're the one who knows. And I also work with people of people. And sometimes we thought something was a good idea, and then it wasn't. And then we do something else. And I'm also really okay with that.
Right. And that you know, one of the other things that I got from that was, for me, was where the question comes in about, like, you know, saying, hey, again, that reproductive justice conversation, right? I also think that that's something that I really want to encourage more people to do. I think that everything that Dr. Coate just said, I think that that is something for those people that are in healthcare that really need to hear that and really need to be able to, like, know, like, whenever it comes down to doing this, it's not about, you know, the extras. It's about what is the goal and how to get there. And then not only that, but I think that it's important that when we have these conversations, that many people be extremely honest. Just to let you all know, a lot of people are unaware of the fact of the way that estrogen causes blood clots, and not even knowing that smoking cigarettes can cause the blood clots to happen when it comes down to being on the estrogen. So it's really important that we look at those types of things. And if you're smoking cigarettes, that you let your doctor know that way they can actually check that out, and whenever they're doing your labs, that they're able to do it. If you are on any type of hormones and you're not seeing a doctor, I strongly suggest that you do, because that's really important. A lot of places have rolling scales and sliding scales and all of that, and I really encourage people to do that, because there's a lot of safety that you need to be aware of within doing this. Dr. Coate, I really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate you for taking time out of your busy, busy day, even as you're on your way home to go and spend time with my baby, our baby, Phoenix. The good old Phoenix. I know, I love that dog. Just amazing. But, you know, I really think that this was super important. I really appreciate everything that you did and that you said, because it was really good. It was really needed. And I really, I think that there's so much more that I want to ask you, but I just can't, because there's not really much time. But I do want to say this. There is a company that is also there for folks that are also looking to learn more, that are in healthcare, not just for those of us that are trans people, but let's talk to our cis allies, right? Let's talk to our cis allies and to some of the people that are trans, because not all of us know everything, right? Just because we live an experience does not mean that we know something. Baby, if you're not feeling good, don't come to me. Go to Coate. Don't come to me. Do not come to me. All I'm gonna do is I'm driving you there, like literally, you know. So tell us a little bit about. I know that you have like the gender asset. Tell us a little bit about like the gender asset and how people can go and find that, and some of the other courses that you have.
Sure. Yeah, so the most popular course that I offer online, like you said, is called the Gender Asset, and everything's an acronym, of course. So ASSET stands for Gender Affirmative Supportive Surgery Evaluation Tool. So since we're dealing with all the gatekeeping and having to get letters for surgery, and I'm in that position of being able to write letters for surgery for people, I said, you know what? As trans people, we need to take over the process of what this looks like. We need to teach cis people, instead of having them take, you know, the field of transgender health has been centered around cis people, and we need to center it around ourselves and take it back, because I love them, but they don't understand how they keep themselves there. Right. And so, yeah, they don't have sort of that ally accomplice mentality. So that's all right. So we're just going to build our own, and it's fine. And so that's what we've done really with the Gender Asset. is to create something that I think is helpful. And so when somebody's coming to see me for a letter for surgery, we ain't just talking about prove you're trans, because that's dumb. Why do we got to talk about that? It's not a test to prove you're trans. It's none of that like it was in the old days. It's what surgery you're having, what surgeons have you looked into, what are the complications, are you prepared? Let me make sure you know what a blood clot is. Let me make sure you know what antibiotics you're supposed to do. Let me make sure you got somebody who can take care of you. Let me make sure. It's just making sure, again, like Dee Dee, you're talking about, like a lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And so I just want to make sure people get accurate information so that they are fully prepared practically to recover from surgery. Because anybody can go and just get knocked out and have surgery. That's the easy part. It's recovering from surgery that's the hard part. And so making sure that they know what's needed for recovery. And then they also know that if they need to call me or anything like that when they're recovering, that, you know, I'm here. And I also am lucky because Mama is a doctor as well. She's an OB-GYN.
Yes,
She's
my doctor.
Texas, and she loves to take good care of us. She also specializes in people who've had vaginoplasty but are having trouble with what's going on after surgery. She's a gynecologist, so she's a vagina specialist. So she'd be glad to help with vagina needs forever. We just call that lady. She'll be love to talk to you about it.
Right.
Don't be shy.
And we'll let you know, right? And we'll let you know not to be shy. And I think that that's really important. So, Coach, for a person that is watching this, that is a healthcare provider in any type of a way, when it comes down to treating trans people, what do you think that are some of the most important things? Because I always tell people that the most important thing is rapport. But I also feel like there's way more to it than just rapport, right? Because some of us have rapport with our grandparents and they still misgender us. And that's not okay, you know, but for some it is okay. And for some of us it isn't. But at the same token, they still feel that there's this relationship where they can do that. So as a healthcare professional, healthcare provider, what would be your suggestion to someone that's watching this that is a healthcare provider?
Sure. I mean, we could write a whole book on this, but I think if I had to pick one thing, it would be changing the mindset from cultural competency to cultural humility. So there's this historical idea, right, of I'm competent to work with this community because they're a different culture than me, and blah, blah, blah.
Speak.
And that I learned that that's actually kind of a white kind of appropriation kind of a thing. Like, I now have this culture in my bag and I can work with these people, and now I'll take this one. And so that competency model is a colonial model. And I learned it incorrectly. And so I learned from my Black and brown siblings, like, no, that you got that wrong. And so a cultural humility perspective is, I don't know what your experience is like, and I'm here for you. And I know that there's stuff that I might say that's fucked up because I just don't know. But I'm going to be humble about it. I'm going to build an accountability relationship with you so that you feel comfortable coming at me and letting me know if I step somewhere that's not right, you know, or if I say something that's harmful. And we're going to build that trust so you know it's not coming from a place of me being an asshole or doing it on purpose. It's just coming from this, I don't know what I don't know. And so if we practice humility and come at it from this idea that each person is the expert in their own experience, and that your job is not to tell if somebody's trans or not. Your job is to take care of them as a person, to ask, you know, to say, hey, my name is Dr. Colt. Use he and they pronouns. Boom. You get their pronouns from the beginning. You know, if you ask questions, so like, for example, a lot of doctors will ask you, like, which restroom do you use? And that might not be necessary for them to know. But they might be asking it because they want to make sure that you're safe, or they want to make sure that you're not holding it all day long. So you're
right.
So when they're being humble and where they're coming from that, and they're asking you things that's hitting you wrong, try to first give the benefit of the doubt, you know, first give the benefit of the doubt, then say, you know, let them know, like, hey, next time, you know, I don't know why you're asking me that. And then give them a chance to explain. And sometimes they'll be like, you know what? I don't really even need to know that. Let me ask you another question. And we just kind of keep moving on. So having that humble perspective instead of the I am competent to work with you perspective, I think is huge. I still, I consider myself a gender expert and taking good care of our people. But I have to practice humility to be able to take good care of us and to be able to connect with people who would never usually even talk to me.
Definitely, 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 definitely. There's so much that we can go on and on and on and talk about, brother. And I appreciate you so much for your time. I think that, and this is my last question, and then I'm gonna tell you to get off my screen, okay? Because I think that this is important.
Go.
I know. But
What you need?
well, actually, you know what? I don't need it. I just need to say thank you. Thank you so very much for being here, Dr. Code. I really appreciate you. This has just been amazing. It's been so much information, such good information. And I just really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. So much. And also
Absolutely.
to all of you trans folks, to all of you non-binary folks, to all of you intersex folks, to all of you folks that fall under the gender umbrella that are watching this right now, that just may be a little different. I want y'all to look at this man, this person, this human that uses he and they right here on your screen, right there, my brother, Dr. Cole. And I want to let you know that you too can be a doctor. That's what I'm talking about. I love you, brother. Thank you so much for being here.
Love you too. Anytime. Next time we're going to talk about what a blood clot is, right?
You got it. Got it.
Later.
Thank you. So to everyone that is watching, thank you all so very much. Thank you. Dr. Cole, you're welcome to leave. I first and foremost, usually we go for up until 8 o'clock. For those of you that are in the time zone for 8, some of you all aren't. But today I feel full, and I felt like it was a lot of information that was given and gifted in these conversations. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Marissa Miller for joining me on today. Marissa joined me at the last minute. I literally was thinking about what she said, and I thought that it was something good for you all to hear, and I wanted to share that. And also thank you to Dr. Coke Sanama for joining us on today. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you all who joined us on today and that watched, and thank you to those of you that decided to watch us at a later time. I really appreciate it. I want to also give a shout out again to the Trevor Project for making this discussion a possibility, for being able to sponsor it, and not to forget about the march. So for those of you that aren't familiar with the march, you all definitely can go online and view the website, which is the www.nationaltransmarch.com. The date of the march is October the 9th, and for those of you that are available and willing to be there, we ask that you join. For those of you that are in some of the satellite places where they're having the march virtually, we ask that you all participate with that. And you know what? Marissa said it earlier, baby. That's one thing I love about Marissa, baby. When she went to church, she didn't forget. For those of you that would like to donate and that would like to pour into this march and what it is that they're doing, please visit the website and do so. To everyone that helped to put this together, to my people in the back side, I don't want to say no names because I don't know if they want people to know who they is, but I appreciate you so much. Thank you all so very much for being who you are. And to each of you that checked in today, and to each of you that left your home on today, that went outside of your door, I would like to compliment you and also thank you for doing a revolutionary act and making it back. Thank you so much for tuning in on today. Join us again. I believe we'll be back right here, October the 5th, October the 4th, October the 5th. October the 5th, we'll be back here, and we will be then talking about everything that we went over so far, kind of going over it again and giving you all some stuff to think about and some things to take away. So I totally appreciate you all again. And hey, my name again is Dee Dee Waters. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Until October the 5th. Thank you.
The first National Trans Visibility March took place on September 28, 2019 in Washington, D.C. With over 5,300 attendees, this historic event brought together both transgender individuals and allies from all over the United States.
We are tired of fighting for our country on foreign soil and then being told that we are no longer fit to serve. We are tired of our murders going without any justice, and our murderers out there free. We want to be free, and that's why we are here.
I want you to repeat after me. I am here. I am here. Yes, ma'am.
We need to take back our narrative. We are not victims. We are not statistics. We are not tragedies. We are waiting to thrive, and this is our best year yet, because we aren't here simply to be visible. We are here to be victorious. So when we move forward today, let us press forward with purpose, let us press forward with passion, and let us know that the fight has just begun.